Monday, January 30, 2017. This is the Government News Brief. In the news, the government is working to eliminate lymphatic filariasis by 2020. Residents of Luston Ross New Housing Scheme are set to receive potable water for the first time, and road safety markings will be reintroduced along the Linden-Susdike Highway. Stay tuned for these and other stories. Thank you for staying with us. I am Renetta LaFleur. Here are the details. The Ministry of Public Health pledges to eliminate lymphatic filariasis by the year 2020. Delicia Haynes tells us how.
The Vector Control Services Unit of the Ministry of Public Health is committed to fostering integration of all regions in the planning of the upcoming Mass Drug Administration exercise in September. Minister within the Ministry of Public Health, Dr. Karen Cummins, says this is in keeping with the National Plan for the Elimination of Lymphatic Filariasis as a public health problem by the year 2020. Staff at the Ministries of Public Health, Finance and Education will undergo 1 week in training to ensure they can support the decentralization of vector control services. The training will focus on integrated planning and costing.
We at the Ministry of Public Health recognize the intrinsic importance of training. We acknowledge that it allows our employees to acquire new skills, sharpen existing ones, perform better, increase productivity, and eventually become better service providers. Therefore, we are experiencing a deep sense of satisfaction and pleasure to see the Vector Control Department of the Ministry of Public Health taking the lead and taking definite steps at ensuring that it continues to build capacity through training of these participants in the proper use of the tool for integrated planning and costing, TIPAC.
The Tool for Integrated Planning and Costing, TPAC, is an innovative software developed by the World Health Organization to assist countries in planning for their program activities over a 5-year period. The program also helps users to accurately estimate costs and funding gaps of the public health programs so as to operationalize the plans. It can be used in conjunction with existing national strategic plans and budgets to actively plan and coordinate the future programs of the Vector Control Unit. Once vital information is added, the tool has the capacity of calculating the needs for each region's program over the course of 5 years.
Please, after learning what goes on here with this tool, I'll encourage you to sit down again, use this methodology to see whether there are any areas where you can sharpen whatever you did.
With relevant stakeholders trained and the software implemented, the annual Mass Drug Administration exercise, which is usually carried out to prevent lymphatic filariasis, will become effective. PAHO WHO Advisor on Neglected Infectious Diseases, Maria De Jesus, notes that the exercise conducted in 2016 did not achieve full coverage due to lack of information-based awareness and other internal challenges faced by the Vector Control Services Unit.
It's a big effort that the country is making, all the regions, and financially and in terms of human resources. We need to continue working to consolidate the efforts that has been done so far. We still have a lot of work to do.
The upcoming Mass Drug Administration is expected to be a more effective exercise since the Tool for Integrated Planning and Costing program will detail and outline all necessary elements. These elements are needed to ensure that sufficient coverage is achieved yearly in the prevention and elimination of lymphatic filariasis. For the Government News Brief, Delicia Haynes.
Residents of Luston Ross New Housing Scheme are set to receive potable water for the first time. They are among those who will benefit from 3 new wells to be constructed this year in Region 3. Zanil Williams tells us more.
The new wells are to be constructed at Virgin Nugent, Portdoyne, and Westminster in Region 3. The Guyana Water Incorporated, GWI, will be expending approximately $240 million on the 3 wells. Some 20,000 residents will benefit. Divisional Manager of GWI in Region 3, Martin Garrick, says the well intervention at Westminster particularly will benefit the residents of Luston Ross New Housing Scheme.
The Westminster well is one of the critical ones, and that will see the development or the expansion rather of the service area to the residents in Luston Ross new scheme. That scheme has been out of water, right, inaccessible for some time. we wish to bring them into the network, and this well will enhance that by increasing the level of service in that Parafate, Westminster, Undernaming, Lusting Russ area.
The Port-Drouin and Vorgenugen wells will be located at the individual water treatment plants. Garrick explains that they will increase the capacity of the plants to deliver treated water to the communities.
The Port-Drouin well, which is, will be status around the Port-Drouin plant, that's for redundancy of the network and also expansion of the level of service to the Port-Drouin service area from Nova Flanders to Good Fortune. The Vorgenugen well also to improve the capacity of the Vorgenugen treatment plant, and that will cater for the residents in Tushin, Zealots, Perica, Barnwell, Tushin area.
Garrick says the wells are expected to be completed by mid-October. In addition to the construction of the wells, a transmission line from the existing Cornelia Ida well to the Fellowship Water Treatment Plant will also be installed in 2017. This project is expected to cost the government an additional $30 million, Garrick said. Sunil Williams reporting for the Government News Brief.
The Ministry of Public Infrastructure plans to reintroduce safety markings along the Linden-Suicide Highway. There were several fatal accidents in 2016 and at the dawn of 2017 along the highway. Isaiah Braffett reports.
Coordinator for the Ministry of Public Infrastructure's Work Services Group, Jeffrey Vaughan, says for years the Linden-Suicide Highway has been without proper road safety measures. Vaughan notes that his ministry will rectify the situation and drivers will need to comply with the safety measures.
Yes, there are interventions that the ministry is looking at in terms of marking all the roads and putting on cat eyes and so forth. There are some areas on the highway where the ministry have already installed lights. So people know that there are some parts that has lights on the... But it's for us as drivers to be a little more cautious when we're driving and to know when the roads are wet, that we need to take our time.
In his 2016 budget speech, Minister of Finance Winston Jordan revealed that a feasibility study for the rehabilitation of the 47-year-old Suicide Linden Highway and the construction of the existing bridge which links the communities of Wismar and Mackenzie will be carried out. Vaughan says the study is currently ongoing and very soon the ministry will begin works on the highway.
There are some depressions which shows that there's some amount of undermining in some areas which a study is being done right now actually for the Linden-Suicide Highway. And after that study, we'll be able to determine whether we'll go full construction, full reconstruction, what needs to happen with the Linden-Suicide Highway, how we will take it in terms of phasing, getting the work done.
The Work Services Coordinator notes that even though the Ministry of Public Infrastructure is not responsible for all the roads in Guyana, his ministry is willing to work along with the agencies to continue improving infrastructure across Guyana.
We sometimes, if you realize, if we take Georgetown, for instance, most of the roads being repaired are done by the ministry. But is it those roads that belong to the ministry? No. Some are city streets which belongs to MNCC. But we're willing to work with all the agencies and everybody to ensure that we have a city that is safe.
Vaughan reiterates the need for drivers to be responsible when using the roads to ensure their own safety and to preserve the infrastructure in the country. Isaiah Braffett for the Government News Brief.
The government of Guyana is committed to prioritizing the development of Guyana's tourism sector, says Minister of Tourism Dominique Gaskin at the launch of Europcar Guyana. Gabriela Patram tells us more.
Europcar Guyana is a new and exclusive Guyana rental service bought to Guyana by T-Net. The company owns and has been operating its service in Suriname for the last 11 years. Minister of Business Dominique Gaskin says the venture will bring a more standard version of the business to Guyana and the tourism sector. He says it is one of the ways for citizens and tourists to visit Lethem and other indigenous communities to enjoy the scenery and all that Guyana has to offer.
I also want to commend the company, the owners of Europcar Suriname and Wilderness Explorers for partnering in this venture and for plunging into the uncharted waters of the Guyana car rental industry. And I say uncharted waters not because cars have never been rented in Guyana, but my impression is that this operation is about to bring a new standard of business to that sector, and one that perhaps is more on par with what prevails in the rest of the world. And that usually comes with its challenges. Introducing perhaps a new way of doing business is not always the easiest thing to do.
Gaskin points out that the direction of tourism in Guyana has become clearer over the last few years, and a sustainable tourism model will be embraced.
The aim of that is generally, excuse me, to increase the awareness of people, of tourists in particular, of the different cultures and the different societies that exist in the places that they visit.
Meanwhile, President of the Guyana Hospitality Association of Guyana, TAG, says that the collaboration will make booking and moving around in Guyana easier for tourists.
If they have their own vehicle, they can go anywhere they want to go in the time frame that they want to go. The freedom of a self-drive holiday will allow them to spend as much time as they want in one place. The Europe car is the answer to this. And in some cases, people have traveled, the international guests have traveled for miles to look for one rare bird. This is a bird that's been on their list. And maybe they want to spend a little bit more time with that bird and not get on with the rest of the tour. If they're in their own vehicle, they can take their time to do whatever they want to do.
Europcar was founded in Paris, France in 1949 and now operates in approximately 140 countries covering Europe, North America and South America, Asia and Africa. Europcar Guyana is a collaboration between Europcar Suriname and Wilderness Explorers. For the Government News Brief, Gabriela Patram.
The Ministry of Natural Resources is demanding more stringent adherence to maritime regulations. One of the ministers in the ministry recently experienced just how dangerous it can be on our waterways. Tiffany Rodius tells us more.
Minister within the Ministry of Natural Resources, Simona Broom, says she will make recommendations for strict enforcement of maritime laws for persons, particularly minors, who traverse the waterways.
One of the recommendations also is that someone should be working early in the morning to ensure that these boats that pass through at this time, when they check into Bartica, that they're allowed to leave until it is cleared.
The minister recently visited communities in the upper Mazaruni River, but was forced to stop the boat she and her team were traveling in after heavy fog reduced visibility.
I had to caution and ask the captain to stop because the place is quite foggy, as you could see. There's no way that he can see clearly ahead of him and to take us through those rapids. And this is something that miners go through, and not only miners, people who reside in these communities.
Minister Broom says there needs to be stronger enforcement of safety guidelines in riverine areas.
First, I know that there's a special time where before boats are being allowed to travel. I'm not too familiar with all the laws that governs maritime, but I'm sure that there's something there that will prevent one traveling in a river where they can't see. I mean, either by fog or rain or what. I'm not familiar with all those laws, but I'm going to strongly recommend that Maritime enforce those that they have, and it must become a general practice.
The Maritime Administration Department, MARAD, is responsible for, among other things, implementing and enforcing maritime codes, conventions and practices, and preventing accidents. For the Government News Brief, Tiffany Rogers.
The Ministry of Education will be having 2 mock assessments for grade 6 pupils on Tuesday, January 31 and Tuesday, February 28, 2017. This is part of its mathematics intervention activities in all primary schools. All parents and guardians are asked to take note. We have come to the end of today's edition of the Government News Brief. The details of these and other stories can be found on GINA's website. GINA has an active Facebook page, and we encourage you to visit and like us so you can be informed as the news unfolds. You can also visit our website and YouTube channel. Do join us tomorrow for another edition of the Government News Brief. I am Renetta LaFleur. Thank you for watching.